Couple final questions, Alex. The war in Ukraine, what have we seen that show us about our financial system? Obviously, you saw the US kind of, canceling dollar assets for certain citizens. We saw the ruble get devaluated, which meant you're a citizen of that country. You are participating at de facto in that war. We've seen people in Ukraine raising money with crypto. But what have you seen the most from this, or what did we realize the most by watching this conflict happen in front of our eyes from a financial perspective or freedom perspective?
Yeah, well, at least with regard to our conversation here today, there's no place in the world that's more vivid in terms of showing the use case for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency than the war in Ukraine. I mean, Putin's invasion, you know, destroyed a country. I mean, it froze the nation. It totally paralyzed the economic system. But when you think about the Ukrainian people, I did an interview with the government, and one of the ministers told me that their estimate is that 100,000 of the 5 million refugees who fled, who are now in Europe, left with cryptocurrency. And it's interesting because, I mean, this war was very sudden. Ukrainians that I know lived in Kiev, like that I've spoken to, February 23rd, 24th, they didn't think there was going to be a war. So it was really sudden. You aren't able to bring your house if you own it. The stock market was frozen. All that stuff was frozen. Like if you were just trying to leave or get out, like you only had what you had, right? Okay. Well, if you are a Bitcoin user, you have your wealth with you. Like, you just take it and you can just bring it with you wherever you want. Super powerful. And no one will, you don't have to worry about some other country not accepting your fiat currency. Everybody will accept Bitcoin. So it's a super powerful refugee tool. And there's a lot of stories of refugees who not just in Ukraine, but coming out of Venezuela, Afghanistan, many other places, Syria. It's an incredible refugee technology. There's a video that I saw that was on television in America on CNBC of people sending some money from Florida, from Miami to a refugee in Poland, a Ukrainian refugee. She didn't have any bank account or anything. She had a phone. She got Bitcoin in a minute or less, then withdrew it from a Bitcoin ATM and had Polish zloty cash in her hands within 3 minutes. It's just this is impossible to do via the legacy system. So I think that's being made really clear. I think companies and aid industry is making it really clear. I mean, there's a huge amount of aid and things happening in Ukraine that'd be impossible to do with legacy money. Like, I was involved in a few weeks ago. We have a humanitarian aid operation on the ground there, HRF, and we were trying to get some satellite phones in on a Friday night. And it's just how are we going to pay for them using a bank wire on a Friday night? It's just not going to happen. So we sent Bitcoin. Phones were in Ukraine hours later. It's just it's such an obvious, clear upgrade for Ukrainians, for the Ukrainian government. Ukrainian government raised over $100 million in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. They're this is obvious. And they told me that in the first few days, which were the most important days, they raised 20 million in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency before any other nation gave them any aid. So this is a huge revolution. Now, for the Russians, the Russian people, hundreds of thousands of them, didn't want this war, and they left. And guess what? That now they're stuck. They don't have their old bank accounts, and the new countries don't like Russians. It's not like if you're in Georgia or Armenia, the population is going to be kind to you. So you can't even probably open a bank account. So between Bitcoin and stablecoins, it might be your only hope, right? We've heard some speculation about. So if you think about it, it's been very positive for the Ukrainian people, for the Ukrainian government, and for the Russian people. But what about the Russian government? Well, that's what everybody says. Oh, Putin's going to use Bitcoin. There's no evidence of this. I mean, Putin's afraid of Bitcoin. Putin's opponents use Bitcoin. If Putin had a plan for Bitcoin, we would have seen it by now. The CCP banned Bitcoin last year. It's very clear what dictators think about Bitcoin. They don't like it very much because they can't control it. Think about it this way. One of the reasons I'm bullish about Bitcoin for America is that Bitcoin is free speech, private property, and open commerce, open capital markets. That's what Bitcoin is. Those vibe with the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, American values. What does the CCP need? What does Putin need? They need censorship, confiscation, closed capital markets. Bitcoin's not compatible with what they need. So you can go on and on about, they can get around sanctions and this and that. Maybe. These are short-term things. It's very difficult to launder a lot of money in Bitcoin. It's very good for small amounts, which is why it's helpful for people. But I mean, it's almost impossible for anyone to move billions of dollars of Bitcoin quietly. It's just the system's not built for it. Like, and anyone who tries to do it is caught. I mean, look at the people who tried to, the people who thieved the Bitfinex money, like the Razzle Khan or whatever, like those two guys, the woman and her husband. They they were caught. They only had laundered like a couple million of the billion, and they were caught. So I mean, I just don't buy it that it's this tool for like rogue governments to get around sanctions with billions of dollars. There's just no evidence for that. But guess what? There's a lot of evidence for the individual people who live under those regimes, benefiting enormously.
The book is Check Your Financial Privilege. How do people find it, and how do they follow you? What's the best way? Also, to get your writing as well. What's the best way?
Yeah, so Check Your Financial Privilege is available on Amazon. It's also available on if you want to buy it in Bitcoin, you can buy it in Bitcoin on the Bitcoin Magazine store. Nice. Download it, buy it, leave a review. Would love that. I think there's a Goodreads page as well. You can follow me elsewhere on Twitter. My DMs are open at Gladstein, Gladstein. You can follow the Human Rights Foundation at HRF on Twitter or at hrf.org, and you can come and like hang out with us and see what we do at the Oslo Freedom Forum, which is coming up in Norway on May 23rd.
Love it. Final thoughts, Alex. Yeah, for people just maybe tuning in, might not have been aware of some of the human rights issues, might not have heard this perspective, and yeah, maybe things they should be thinking about, or even next steps when it comes to Bitcoin.
I mean, look, everybody's like, well, should I buy some? How much should I buy? Whatever. I think you should invest your time in it. Then you'll be able to make that decision later about whether you want to invest your money in it. But invest your time in Bitcoin. Learn about it. You can't lose anything by learning about Bitcoin. There's nothing to be lost, and there's everything to be gained. And I'm pretty sure that in 10 years, if you're listening to this, you're going to look back and smile about the possibilities that you had back then. And we're going to be filled with one thing: regret that we didn't do more. We didn't educate more people about Bitcoin. We didn't buy more Bitcoin, whatever. But we have time now when very few people believe in this thing. I mean, it's almost engineered in a way to generate disbelief. Every time it goes up, it comes down. And now, Bitcoin's dead. Bitcoin's not dead. Bitcoin's just getting started.